Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Personal Trainer Portal podcast. We're going in raw because we don't have an introduction recorded or anything yet. We're not that organised. But this is going to be the first episode where we're going to talk about a lot of different topics which we've learned over the years of being one-to-one personal trainers on the gym floor. And we're going to try and keep these episodes somewhere around 20 to 30 minutes, but no promises on that. I know for a fact some of them are going to go over 30 minutes. But today we're going to talk about getting started in personal training. So we're just speaking about this. Getting started in personal training, you've got your level 2, you've got your level 3. What do you do now? What are the next steps to take so you can start building up your business and start building up some clients? So we're going to go through a few points. I'll go first. Number one, I would say, is you need to find a place to work from. So if you don't have a place to work from, you can't train your clients. I mean, you can train them on the local field, but in the winter months it's going to get pretty cold and a bit horrible. So the first thing you need to do is have a look around your local area. Look to see what gyms there are. There's always public gyms. There's the gym where me and Pete worked at. There's Exercise for Less. There's Pure gyms. Or there's maybe just some local gyms which aren't the big chain ones. And to be honest, usually they're the ones which charge slightly less rent. But the only thing about those is sometimes they don't have as many members as the big commercial gyms. So I would say number one is you need to find a place to work from, and segue in the next one is deciding whether you want to be in a commercial or private gym. So number one, find a place to work from. What do you think, Pete? Next one.
So number two, we touched on this when we were talking earlier, is obviously the commercial versus private argument. So commercial gym, Lewis touched on, is sort of your big chain gyms. Private, that both me and Lewis have had experience of, is like a personal training studio. That could be a small room, or that could be a gym environment that's just dedicated for personal training clients. So with this one, I think we'd both agree from our experience that the commercial was a big help to us when
Especially
we
when you're
started.
starting out.
Definitely, because you finish your qualification. I don't think a lot of the companies that provide the qualification give you a lot of help on the marketing side and picking up clients, that side of it. So the more help you can get, and if the environment's sort of set up to be lots of people there, you've got a captive audience,
Yeah.
it's going to be easier for you to talk to people, for one, get to know people, and find potential PT clients. But on the other hand, obviously we both worked in a private studio, PT studio, after a commercial gym, and we enjoyed that so much more, didn't we?
Yeah, I think being in a private gym, like, you can go straight into being in a private gym, and I know of
Yeah.
PTs who have done that, but I'd only recommend going straight into a private gym if you've already got clients ready to go. If you've got minimum like 5 clients on, let's just say 2 to 3 sessions per week ready to go, then you're probably in the position to go into a private. But for 95% of PTs, like you are, if you're listening to this, you're probably going to want to go into a commercial gym. You've got that mass market of people who are, most likely just want to lose a little bit of weight, feel a little bit healthier, and they're the best clients to target because they were in the same position you probably were when you first started. They don't really know what to do. So yeah, leading on to what Pete said, yeah, I'd say commercial. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, sort of the other big plus we're probably going to mention that really worked well for us was the fact that obviously if you're going to personal train people from anywhere, there's going to be a rent involved in that. So quite often, if you've got no clients and you're paying a rent, that's a lot of pressure you're putting on yourself. So
Yeah.
if you don't maybe have a part-time job or some savings, you're out of pocket before you even walk through the door. So commercial gym, obviously the one we worked with, the gym group, they had a facility where it was time So you give your time 12 hours it was back then,
Have they changed that
and
now?
that was
Do you
your
know?
rent. Well, do you not
I heard
remember
that they
sort
had.
of? Yeah, I think they have. So I think shortly after we were leaving, that
Oh
they brought
yes,
in
yeah,
a bit of a different model, didn't they? So
yeah,
we probably would have benefited if we'd stayed a little bit longer,
yeah,
because we'd got to the point where we didn't really need those 12 hours because people knew us. We had a lot of clients. So those 12 hours on top of your clients is quite heavy, like on your schedule. So the best option for us would have been, well, actually talking to them and saying, can we, instead of doing these hours, give you some rent money? And that would have probably worked for us because we could have potentially got more clients in
yeah.
those 12 hours we were giving away for free. So I think they did bring that in. And I think there was also like, you could do a bit of rent and a bit of hours and then full rent option.
Yeah, yeah. I think having that like come into play when we were leaving was, I swear, I don't want to say it was annoying, because the 12 hours we did were allowed us to be on the gym floor to pick up the clients, which is
Yeah.
great. And you know, for anyone who's starting out as a PT, you need that. You need to be in front of people. You need people to see you doing the thing you're an expert at. So yeah, I think being in a commercial gym, that's probably the main focus of being in there, being in front of a lot of people, as opposed to a private gym where you don't have that access. It's all
Yeah.
going to be reliant on either referrals or social media. And that leads to the next one, number 3. So we've got number 1, find a place to work from. Number 2, commercial or private gym. Number 3, we want to set up all of your social medias. So I would say try not to juggle too many social media platforms at once. I have definitely been victim of this, trying to do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, podcasts, LinkedIn, everything. I would say pick 2 main ones, where you spend the majority of your time on and trying to build up your business and trying to get the clients, and then use the other ones, you know, every now and then. You know, try not to
Yeah.
disperse your time equally between, say, 8 social media platforms. So let's say, for example, you might be great on Instagram and Facebook. You know, if you're in your local area of, I don't know, Wigan, and you know a load of people in Wigan, and you know you've got all your mums and your dad's friends, you know, on Facebook, they're probably going to be the ones you want to target. So Facebook would be a good thing for you because you've already got a little bit of a base of people who know who you are. But again, it might be the total opposite. You might be great on video, so maybe Instagram or YouTube might be good, or you may be good at talking, so podcasts might be good. So I would say rain down on 2 social medias, really focus on them, driving content to those, and then use the other ones dispersely. Put a little bit of content up, but really focus on 2 to build some awareness of what you're doing and who you want to target. I don't know have you got anything to tag onto that?
Yeah, so it's that whole thing of do less but better. So picking 1, 2, 3 at most, the things that you're best at, like you touched on the video or talking, whatever it is, and just knuckle down on them, get them as good as you can, rather than spreading yourself too thin. Um, just go back to the sort of touching on Facebook comment and getting your friends and family involved,
Yeah,
because when you're starting out something new, those people know you, those people will want to help you. So if you can get those guys in, they can be some of your first customers. And even, I mean, we've talked about before that whole fake it till you make it. And,
yeah, yeah,
you know, maybe you get your family or your friends and say, look, I've just qualified as PT. I'm starting in this gym. It'd be quite good if I could have a bit of practice or let people see what I'm doing. So come down and I'll give you a couple hours a week on me. And you know, you might actually get them as a client after that
and
yourself.
I think that's what we touched on the previous podcast we did. Was that if you don't have many clients, and you, as you probably don't, if you're just starting out in a commercial gym, like Pete said, fake it till you make it. Bring your, even if it's your girlfriend, your cousin, your sister, whoever it is, just to look busy. And then people on the gym floor are going to see you training them. And then they're going to think, well, they're going to get interested. They're going to think, oh, what's he doing? Oh, he might be able to solve my problem. So just get as many people as you can down at first. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that like 3 years down the line. But at first, just to look like you're busy. And that can come from, as you said, your social media, friends on Facebook or whoever it may be. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that.
No, mate, I think you've covered it really there.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Just
knuckle
raining down on it.
those.
And then number 4, we've got learning to handle and lead a consultation. So I'd say this is a massive one. Can you remember doing your first consultation at the gym? Or like your first, or like around your first few? It doesn't have to be the exact first one.
Yeah. No, obviously you're in the gym and you're trying to get your clients and you don't actually think, what if someone comes up to me and wants PT, or what if I talk to someone?
You think someone's just going to hand you cash, don't you? Before you do it, you think, oh, you're just going to walk in, someone's going to say, I want PT, here's 300 quid, train me.
Exactly.
And you forget about all the sales process.
Exactly. But then I think you forget as well, if you go and talk to someone and try and persuade them to PT, then you're like, oh, what do I do in the consultation? Like, I've got to try and sell this now. And it's just so nerve-wracking.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
When you first start out, because you feel like a fraud almost, don't you?
Yeah. And you're sat there, you probably don't know this person that well. You've got to sit down and figure out, get your personality across a little bit, have a bit of chit chat, so it's not just right, this is what I offer, this is the price, when can I book you in? It's, it can't flow like that. So it is proper nerve-wracking, I think, when you first start. And that's why I think this is an important one, because just having in your head, I mean, you could have a consultation form, for example, and
which I used to
be and obviously the more you do, the less you sort of stick to that. And it flows. But at the start, it's quite rigid, and that can be good in a way, because you've got those questions in front of you. Some of the main questions, like what exercise history have you done? Have you been into sports? What's your goal? Things like that. If you've got them written down there, you can just take some quick notes, because you'll forget a lot of what's said.
Yeah.
So taking notes, those key questions, and I know a lot of people have said to me, at the end of the consultation, if you can then read some of those answers back to the client, then they know that you've understood what they've said.
Yeah.
And I think that rings true a bit more with them. They're more likely to buy into you, because you've sat there and you've listened and you've taken note, and you know what the problems may be or things like that.
I think with a consultation, I remember in the early days when we're in the gym, the first few, you don't know how to handle it. Yeah, I went into it, a consultation back when we first started, almost with the mindset that I'd already made the sale. So I'd be like, thinking, oh, they're booked in for a consultation, they definitely want PTing. But that isn't always the case. You've got to relate to them. You've got to show that you really do relate to what they want. Whereas I remember in the early days, I'd sit down in that little room in the gym. You remember the consultation room next door?
Yeah.
And I'd give them a form, and it'd almost just be questions like, what age are you? What height? What do you do? And just very basic questions, but I wasn't actually selling personal training. I was just asking them normal questions. And then I'd be like, after they'd filled this form and we'd had a little bit of awkward talk, I'd be like, so when do you want to book in? And then they'd be like, oh, well, how much is it? And then you tell them the price, and then they'd be like, oh, I'll just have to go away and think about it. I'll give you a text. And we all know, don't we? 99 times out of 100, if they say that, they're not going to sign up.
Yeah.
So I think I went into it. You've got to go into the consultation. I think less is more. What I do now is get someone in. have that awkward little small talk, as you do with everything, first 5 minutes, and then just say, I literally just sit down and just go, what do you want? Like, what do you want? What are your main goals? And let them just talk. Because 9 times out of 10, they'll just ramble on. They'll just ramble on about what they want, what they've been doing. And honestly, if you sit there and say next to nothing, 9 times out of 10, they'll just tell you exactly what they want. And then your job is just to almost paint the path of how you're going to get them there. And I think that's the best way
Yeah.
to do it. Try not to be too salesy, obviously. And we've discussed this before. It's always awkward talking about money. Let's be honest. It is awkward. So I'll normally try and halfway through the conversation, sort of without saying how much it is straight away, but hint at how much it is, and almost just let them tell you as much information as possible. Because once they've got that all off the chest, they immediately think, he knows exactly what I want. I've told him everything. I almost have to sign up, and because I want to, and I think that's what the mindset has to be. Make them actually really understand the value of what you're going to give them.
Yeah, so what I'd say onto that is it's having those open-ended questions. It's not sort of questions where people can give you a yes or a no. It's
Like I used
getting
to, how
them.
tall are you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a case of getting them to open up, because almost by you doing that, you're getting them to sell PT to themselves,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
you know?
So I think,
So
yeah,
it's just,
open-ended
yeah,
questions.
definitely. And just try and keep it flowing, because
Yeah,
it is an awkward situation essentially, because you don't really know the person.
you don't know them at all,
Obviously,
really.
no, there's obviously a cash transaction
Yeah,
involved. Um, Quite often, people have come to you because they could be desperate. They've tried your usual things, just going to the gym, going on the cardio machine, or they've tried these daft fad diets, whatever it is, and they're sort of a little bit desperate to see a change or to be able to hit their goals. So quite often it can be quite emotional, the reason they're there. So you just need to keep it flowing, get across that you understand what they're saying, um, and yeah, take it from there,
yeah, I think that
really.
helps massively. Try and just at first during the conversation, I'll try and almost talk to them as if I've known them for ages. It's like
Yeah,
trying to build like a friendship straight away with them. But then obviously once you sit down, it gets a little bit more serious. Once they tell well us how hard everything's been for them, that's when you just let them talk. Just let them talk for because
yeah,
like I said, most of the time they'll just ramble on. And most of the time we have heard it before, but I think going back to this point, learning how to handle and lead a consultation is massive. Because if you don't know how to handle a consultation, like I didn't in the early days, let's just say you get 5 inquiries. If you don't know how to do it, you'll probably only sign up one. Whereas if you know how to handle and lead a
yeah.
consultation, you might sign up three. You're never going to have 100% conversion rate. But if you have three, then that's massive. Like that's 2 extra clients
Yeah.
just from knowing how to talk to them.
I think the other thing we should probably mention is like objective handling.
Yeah,
So
good point.
people, obviously they've come to you. There's obviously a part of them that's keen on PT, so that's great. But then they're going to have some objections in there. It might not be them that's paying for it. If it was a student, it might be the parents, and the parents have said, look, I'll do it, but ask this. It could be anything. They could have to okay it with their partner, because for some people, PT is quite a big expense. So, it's not just a case of, right, I can do it tomorrow. Sometimes, you've got to handle those objections. Um, Obviously, a lot of the time, we touched on it earlier there, is people have tried other things, and, there's lots of PTs out there, and some PTs, maybe haven't done the right things with them or let them down. So it's getting that trust and handling those objections. If you know in the back of your head, right, if someone says, I don't have a lot of time or money's short, is, well, what is a way around that? And then you can handle that objection as it's brought to you.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point. So yeah, learning how to handle and lead a consultation is massive when you're first starting out. So that's the fourth one. Number 5, and the last one we've got deciding on your package or product you want to offer. Do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, so this really ties in quite well with consultation process. So before you go into any consultation, you need to have an idea of what you are offering. So what the product is or the package. Are you doing a monthly setup where people will do so many sessions per week? So let's say they do one a week, that's 4 of the month. You have a price for that. If they're doing more, are you going to then drop the price per hour? Or are you going to sell a package of 12 weeks, a 3-month package or a 6-month package? If you don't know that before you go in, that can make you look quite amateur, because you're having to think on the spot. So just having some prices in your head of what you're doing, whether that's, you could lay that on a piece of paper, make it look pretty, or just having that, in your head, but just knowing the money you're talking about, because at the end of the day, you're asking someone to commit money to this. You
Yeah.
need to come across looking professional.
Yeah, I think knowing exactly what you, like you just said there, if you don't know exactly what you're offering, it comes across as quite amateurish. Like, especially when you're first starting out, if you know exactly how you're going to be able to get that potential client from A to B, it makes the consultation a lot easier as well, because you know what you can offer
Yeah.
them. You know how you're going to get them there, and you can tell them, you can paint the path of this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is why we're going to do it. And then most of the time they'll be like, great. So decide exactly. We did speak about that in the other podcast. You probably don't need to rein in on exactly what type of client you want to work with straight away. The first probably 3 years is probably a little bit more of just training a lot of people to see what person you feel like you like to work with the most. So decide on a package, like you said, whether it's a 12-week package. And I think what I've gone away from recently, I think I was just telling you this on the other podcast, was trying not to just sell personal training sessions. That sounds a little bit contradictory, but if someone comes in, I won't just say, this is how much a personal training session is. I'll almost say, this is what I offer. I offer a 12-week, I don't know, you could, keeping it easy, transformation package or fat loss, whatever it may be, 12-week package. This is how many sessions is included within the 12 weeks. It works out to be 1 session a week, whatever it may be. And just knowing exactly how you're going to get them there will make everything a lot easier for you and for them, because they know exactly what they're going to get. So
Yeah, so you don't want any confusion, do you? Later down a week or two into training with you, turn around saying, Lewis, didn't you say that this would be included? And it
yeah,
hasn't been. You don't want any confusion like that. So if you set your stall out at the start, so people know what they're getting, they know what they're paying for, and what to expect.
yeah, yeah. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Just have a sit down before you really do start trying to get clients through the door. Just know exactly what you're going to be offering them before they do the consultation, before you start getting leads or anything like that. Know exactly what you're going to offer and how you're going to do it. That'll make everything easier. Everything.
Yeah.
So
Just jump in on that. Also, there's that whole conversation of whether you're doing a monthly
yeah,
package or 3 6 months, because you need to think about your income, because obviously if you're doing a monthly package with all your clients, you've got a monthly income, and that can be really helpful down the line if you're trying to get a mortgage or pay on finance or anything. If you've got a monthly income, it'll look better on paper than a package would, because you're getting a lump sum every so many months. I mean, we could talk a lot about that, but I just thought
yeah, and that's a
just
topic for
touch on
another
that.
day, isn't it? Like how to
Yeah,
actually price your personal training. Obviously, everyone's different, but I'd say there is still a right, well, a better and worse way.
definitely.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything on that topic. So I'll go through the number
Yeah.
one, so you've got your level 2, you've got your level 3. First thing you want to do is find a place to work from. Number 2, decide whether you want to be in a commercial or a private gym. Number 3, set up all your social media. Put the feelers out there. Number 4, learning to handle and lead a consultation. And number 5, deciding on your package or product you want to offer. So I think that's pretty much everything for this one.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so we're going to delve into a load of different topics and subtopics over the course of the next few weeks and months. So that's the first episode of the Personal Trainer Portal. Anything, well, we actually are going to be, we haven't done it yet, but by the time you've listened to this, we might have already set up a lot of the social medias, the Instagrams, the Facebook, and everything else. So we will have that linked within the description. And any questions you've got, I would probably say for now, head over to those social medias and DM us. But for now, thank you. See you in the next episode.